Raise your attention, roustabouts. It is I, the piptaculously attired chieftain of the barbarian horde, your main man, to regale your mind with tales and titillating tidbits of information and lore regarding Within the Ring of Fire. If you haven't gotten the books yet, go to Drive Through RPG. Get a hold of books 1, 2, 3, and 4. Book 5, the Book of True Names, is going to lay out now. That will be out for you soon enough. Now, you can also get them until Christmas on your main man. Hit me up on Facebook. Add me on Facebook. Main man on Facebook. You understand? And you can join the Raw Immersive Games page there and talk about people find games within the Ring of Fire to play in on Google Plus, on Skype, perhaps even in person, should you be so well located towards others. Join and get to the conversation about Within the Ring of Fire. Learn all the latest about the Air products to entertain and mesmerize the mentalities of your players directly. So, you can hit me up. Easiest way to do it is on Facebook. They make it so hard to do anything now on YouTube. Until Christmas, even on Christmas, only $75 to get PDFs directly from me of everything that will ever come out for Within the Ring of Fire. That means you're going to get 4 PDFs right away. You'll be one of the first to get the PDF of the Book of True Names. 5 books have been written, and the next 2 I'm well on the way of writing those. Here Be Dragons, and the next one we don't really have a full name for just yet, but there's a good bit written on that one as well. Today we're going to talk about Typhons. The name, of course, comes from the father of all monsters in Greek mythology. There are many mental minions and a menagerie of ideas that have come across in the collaborative creation of the Typhon. Typhon are anthropomorphic snakes, cobras to be specific, though you can certainly change and customize that a little bit, and they provide great foundation, I want to say, for anything serpentine, ophidian that you wanted to put in the game. A lot of people out there have been taking Within the Ring of Fire stuff for the moment, hacking it, chopping it, changing it, and using the rule system core presented here to fuel all sorts of games, space operas, your classic fantasy type games. The rules will well support any style of play you want to get in there as well, with enormous numbers of player possibilities. And you can see in my friend Lou's game, your main man, we have 2 sessions in now. Your main man is playing a Typhon with the short name of Zan, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But you can go watch 2 sessions right now and see just the way that I devised to have Typhon. And I think, and you can see Lou, his interpretations of Typhon as well. A lot of Typhon embers in the game to really help give you an idea of their sociology, of their culture, of how they exist inside Kavega Thale. These are not just bad guys. These are not just monsters to hack apart. They have their own culture. They have their own hopes, their own fears, a lot of fears, and their own place in the world. These are perfectly, fully playable catalysts, and they have a lot of aspects to them that make them, I think, quite interesting and quite a different sort of catalyst than you're going to have as a player character, say, in your Dungeons and Dragons game, in a saga involving a Typhon. There's really a large number of interesting gray strokes that one can engage in, that you can have dalliances with all sorts of different emotional extremes and slide into those sort of places that, let's just face it, a mammalian skeletal structure will not allow them to fit. You're different. However, in that difference, you do not need to be lost. You can certainly well fit into the area of a playable option for a character. And you'll see your main man bring that to life for you to show you sort of a guide to playing Typhons. I believe Typhons came off as a real true success. I'd like to hear out there from anyone else who has, as of yet, used Typhon as embers in their sagas, or has used Typhon as a catalyst. A catalyst you might call a player character, something like that. But a catalyst is what sparks and ignites the imagination of the game, of the fire, of the flame, of the story, of the ephemeral ether that we conduct our imaginative artistic experience in. And I find them quite interesting. They are created by Mother Yarga, the absolute dragon of the water, daughter of Leviathan. She is the mistress of the arts of tattooing, a creature of hatred. Uh, and right off the bat, you know, we're going to have your issues with your Shan, with the children of Shai, the anthropomorphic cats, such as Adalin or Nargali in the game. You're going to be ill disposed towards them. They're going to be very ill disposed towards you. You're a Dracoid. And you don't really look at anyone else as an ally. Everything else is more of an adversary. The world is harsh and hateful. So are you. However, that's not to say it would be impossible to have a Typhon that broke away from the standard of the norm of the species. Of course, you'll see in Lou's game, I am not playing at all that sort of Typhon. I'm trying to play something that's very typical so you can have an understanding. Typhon can often be craven, cowardly little creatures who are full of hate, that have obsessions, that have low self-esteem, that have a desire to show and prove themselves dominant, to prove their intellect is superior, to prove their artistry is superior, to prove their skills are beyond that of the norm, of the scope, of the capacity of others, of you. And this is especially true within their own society. Though Mother Yurga has created small secret societies, almost caste within their kind, to fulfill certain tasks, and these tasks are, as of yet, left a bit vague as to be determined by your flame tender, to allow the idea of the flame tender to interject their thoughts and ideas there. So it's not simply the players can go, oh yeah, well, I read that, so I know what it is. It's vague, it's nebulous, it's dark, it's mysterious, and it can be quite a few different things, and are not well openly talked about in the Typhon society. Typhon, of all the species, are one of the non-Holdry that are on the highest end of magic using. There are many that follow the esoteric paths of the Magi amongst the Typhon. However, that being said, they are tending towards the malfeasant, the blasphemous, the non-sacred practice of magic. And this, my friends, will all be covered in the Book of True Names that is coming out quite soon. I can't give you an exact date, so don't ask for that. Just stay tuned and join Raw Immersive Games, and you will find out quite well when the PDFs are available, when the hardbacks and when the softbacks are available on Drive-Thru-RPG, so you can get your copies of the Book of True Names as well. They're Typhon, mechanically speaking, have a different ability than the vast majority of other species that you would be able to form in a catalyst. They are poisonous. They have poison, and they have certain advantages where they can further about exploit that and become extraordinarily poisonous. Spit venom, have venom that is well-nigh deadly. Typhon are a matriarchal society, and they definitely value the clergy of Mother Yurga. They value magi. They value those who have tremendous insight and particularly potent in all sorts of various skills. You're going to see Typhon, particularly around coastal cities. If there's water nearby, you're likely going to have Typhon nearby. Typhon are typically dwellers on islands, which is very common, seeing as they are created by Mother Yurga. They have a dragon counterpart, being Dracoid, being created by an absolute dragon. And the dragon counterpart are the Naga, who they very much do not get along with. There is a tremendous sibling rivalry that spills over into many problems. Those who've read Fey Wine, there are Typhon in the book Fey Wine, so you can get a better understanding of Typhon there. You can get a better understanding of a Naga in the book Fey Wine for Within the Ring of Fire. First novel for Within the Ring of Fire. Pick that up, Drive-Thru-RPG, or hit your main man up and get a PDF on the cheap. And you can see just how Typhon integrate themselves in the world. The relationships between Typhon and Gorgons, the relationship between Typhon and Naga, are explored to a degree in the backdrop of the game. You're going to see Typhon in any sort of city that has a metropolitan feel to it. They're certainly going to be encountered in trade. They're going to be encountered in Firstport and Newport and places like this. And the Typhon have an extremely large shipping empire. Typhon deal in slaves. They deal in illicit substances, not necessarily illegal, but they're going to be dealing in drugs, anything that can have you strung along, anything that can have you addicted. They're going to deal in poisons. They're going to deal really in anything in that city that might be on the black market and they essentially operate in a similar fashion to a gang, a mafia of some sorts, or a grouping of such things amongst their own kind. Others know that Typhon are not to be trusted. Typhon will exploit this, and being often very, very honest with you, at least up until the point where they aren't. And at that point, they can leave you very confused. Well, they're lying to me. They must be lying. They're a Typhon. They're a fork-tongued liar. But you've been telling you the truth all the way along, and letting you use your prejudice against him to your disadvantage, to your fall, disgrace. Otherwise, the Typhon, it is of paramount importance that if they have a relationship, even the most minute relationship with you, that you recall them, that you remember them, that you don't forget them or confuse them with another Typhon. That is horrible to them. They are creatures that don't necessarily have a strong self-opinion. I think it's very important. Creating a character within Ring of Fire, we use a mask because you're weaving a psychological tapestry from which to act out your character. You want your character to be different. You don't want it to be you. You want them to be a combination of emotions and feelings and psychological reactions and sociologically stimulated drives. This is not, I have a +3 Warhammer and I attack on initiative of 12. It's not that sort of foolishness. This is a very easily accessible art form of RPG, where the Typhon itself is a creature, like I said, often might have that low self-esteem, but that drive that can bring to prove that it is the best, that it is the dominant one. Not a megalomaniac, but actually quite the opposite. And thinking it's low, but at the same time desiring to prove that ideal to itself and to others, particularly of its own kind. And if you can't even so much, it means he means or she means so little to you, your character. For example, if you're a human or a Farum or an ogre or what have you, that you don't even remember them. You can't even remember the name. Well, that's an enormous insult to them. Now, the name they give you, Typhon may well give you a name of your culture. He may be in a Freyan land and give you a Freyan name. He may be in the great city of Bale, which is on the Red River, and he may use a name for ogres, a name for Farum, a name for humans of their own type. He's like, yes, I am a Typhon. What's your name? Oh, I'm Atlas, the Typhon says. Atlas. A human name, because the Typhon wants to present itself to you in a way that's easy and familiar. It doesn't care that you understand its long Dracoid name. It's not interested in that at all. It's just interested that you remember it, that it stands out, that it has enough worth to retain memory in your mind, if that makes sense to you. And that's very important to a Typhon. The Typhon have 3 predominant colorations. They have green and yellow. They have black and red, and let me show you the picture of the Typhon here real quick from the book. You can see that's a green and yellow Typhon, if you can see that right well there. I like that. Typhon have they have claws really more than fingers, but they have 3 of them, and the thumb sort of sits like back here, and then they have 2, kind of like they have these 2 fingers, or maybe if it was like these 2. And then a thumb back here, and hands that are quite different. Most of them are a bit thin by human standards, and they have to sit up on their tail, and that'll take about a foot and a half off their length at least. But they can lay flat and be kind of like a weird, fat, kind of oddly designed cobra with a huge hood. And of course, they can have and they have an orange and tan coloration as well, and they can have other colorations that are rare. So you can certainly feel free to engage your own enthusiasm and intellectual designs and artistic endeavors on the creation of your character. You just might be a bit odd. You certainly have maybe an albino with a little bit of orange on them, or make a Typhon that looks more like a coral snake. These are all fine options, and certainly should be encouraged if you really want to go that way. But you are going to be a bit of a rarity, and that can come with its own up and down side to it. Typhon have small hands and arms. They have no legs. I've never quite liked that idea of anthropoid snakes that have legs. The arms, of course, I know right away are an issue. I strongly actually considered not giving them arms when they were created. And I don't know if that would have been a better design or not. And I also thought about making them really almost like just cobras, except they were really smart. Not having the humanoid anatomy. Didn't know if that might come off as a bit too esoteric for certain players, but I stand by the decisions that were put together in the book, and I think they came up well. If you want to find them, Typhons are in Monsters and Men, which you can get on Drive-Thru-RPG and get the PDF right from your main man, hardback and softback as well. They are on page 79 and page 81. They have a nice write-up here. They are not quite as good. Their hands aren't quite as dexterous, really, as, say, a human's hands would be. And weapons are a bit more difficult for them, although they do have fangs, and things with fangs can and will definitely bite you. They're also poisonous, and many of them, again, practice occult arts, such as those of the Domini, or necromancy, or witchcraft, or oracles, and summoners, and these individuals are strongly respected in their societies. And of course, those of you who have 77 Thrones, the Theological Codex, know that Brother Yura certainly incentivizes the use of magic in addition to clerical abilities, which means you could go both ways with that sort of character, and that can create a very flexible, extremely powerful sort of character. Now, you're also going to note when playing a Typhon that you really want, at least the way that I brought it across, you're really going to want to show a lot of diplomacy, a lot of friendliness. They're openly friendly, kind even to a degree, as long as it doesn't cost them anything. Certainly, the old drug-pushing adage of the first one's free can be a great way to add a little bit of flavor to your Typhon. You'll see that in the first episode as I offer Mia's character a little something on the house the first time, and then second time she comes over. Oh, let me give you this for it. And I look at it and go, and I indicate it's going to be a little bit more than that, so she has to come back and double the price, and that was nice. And we got running with the deal right there. Typhon also, they do have a species granted bonus of 1 to their opulence. They are quite wealthy. Their largest rivals in the world are Kulfar. Kulfar and Typhon are sort of they're very much merchants. There are a few other species that are very much merchants as well, like Darwin. And being merchants, they will sell anything. They're both active slavers. They are both very much willing to exploit any sort of detail. And from being a Typhon, that can really be very interesting. My character, from playing him, he sort of, to me, had a bit of a... So I had many different qualities and bits and pieces of things. And noticing from the play, he had almost in his true nature, a bit of a sort of a more evil Han Solo aspect to him, as definitely a scoundrelous sort of individual. But in the open, with his mask, right, with the mask upon the mask, he is he will defer to you. He's certainly a little bit cowardly, and that runs right to his core nature. He will be pleasant and try to make himself seem useful and positive, try to engage even your interests. And the more he can do that, the more interesting he can insinuate himself upon individuals. And the Typhon really want to do it. They want to be the one-stop shop, the place that you come to spend your money. Typhon don't make money or don't make coins of their own, though they are great supporters of the largely becoming norm of coins. Now, within the Ring of Fire, Vega Thale is not something that's always driven me nuts in a Dungeons & Dragons game, is the standardization of money. Things don't even remotely cost the same amount across the world, and that's always been an enormous problem in my mind. It's like, oh, you go over here and an apple is 1 copper piece, and you go over here where there's tons and tons and tons of apples, and that's like their whole thing, apple fair, yay! An apple is also 1 copper piece. A longsword, 15 gold. 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 No, it wouldn't be that way. There would be tremendous amounts of additional prices put on it due to shipping, and certain things are simply going to be cheaper in other places. We use a nice, easy fix of opulence in the game, and certainly talk about where items are produced, and thus that's going to be where things are less expensive. It's a game that's designed to keep you involved and immersed in a seamless aspect, not the seam-filled, stitched-up aspect you might find in, say, a Forgotten Realms. If you haven't played Within Ring of Fire, do your group a favor, pick up the books, just pick up PDFs if you want to, and invest in a saga. I believe you're going to like it more than you liked any other fantasy experience that you've had in RPGs. It's dark fantasy. It's a cruel, gritty world, but a cruel, gritty world is a great backdrop for a saga which tells heroes that shine bright and ferocious, or your characters, your masked catalyst may simply be not quite so bright, burning heroes. It might be something else. It might be different. You know, you have a political machination, and it's certainly, again, not Dungeons and Dragons by any stretch. It is a fantasy game really all unto itself, which the books will encourage the theme and the various focuses that you can get involved with the political machinations of guild houses and the strange aspects of the ancient fanes and those religious individuals that prowl about these old buildings of stone or clay and politic their positions within cities and towns for their divinities. So that is some small amount, play points more than Typhon. I'm not going to sit, I don't do that for any game, not just because this is a game that I wrote. I don't like to go through and just read out passages, because you do that yourself in any book. I like to give you sort of a different idea. So, for example, Typhon, they tend to sleep in circular cut rugs, maybe even luxurious rugs, and that's what they would sleep on as opposed to a bed. They just coil themselves up and just sort of lay their head down on it, and you may think there's just a coil of rope or some random piece of junk set upon that area, or you may think it's a cobra. That can definitely provide an interesting situation. Typhon do have a bonus to their intelligence. They're smarter than the vast majority of species that inhabit Uvegathale, and they're well aware of that. So when you bring that to bear, it's another very interesting aspect that you can pursue for a Typhon in a saga. Again, let me know, guys and gals out there, if you played a Typhon, if you've read the books, what you think of the Typhon, if you've watched the game, the Lose Run, or any other games that have had Typhon in them. Please comment and let myself and those else here know about it. Remember, jump on a raw, immersive games and let us know what you think about the products. Let us know what you think about Within the Ring of Fire and the upcoming air system, which I'll probably be doing even some more work on tonight. But as always, Barbarian Horde, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for supporting. And I'm probably going to do another video right after this. If you see my luxurious pimpin' robe 2 times in a row, you know what's really happening and what's really good. And what's really good is you guys watching the video, and I do appreciate that, baby.